American Airlines, Boeing 737 engine fire, the full story of March 13th, 2025. Began like any other day for the passengers of American Airlines Flight, a Boeing 737 scheduled for a smooth domestic journey. The weather was clear, visibility was perfect, and nothing hinted at the nightmare that would unfold. Just minutes after takeoff, passengers boarded the aircraft with the usual mix of excitement and routine. Families settled into their seats, business travelers opened their laptops, and flight attendants moved through the aisle performing safety checks. In the cockpit, the captain and first officer conducted their final briefing. Fuel levels confirmed, weather checked, systems normal. The Boeing 737 seemed perfectly healthy. At 10:17 a.m., the aircraft accelerated down the runway and lifted into the sky. Everything appeared normal, until the aircraft climbed through 4,000 feet, sudden sharp intake. A sudden metallic bang echoed from the left side of the aircraft. Some passengers thought something had hit the plane. Others felt a jolt under their feet. Inside the cockpit, the engine instruments spiked erratically, and then the unimaginable happened. The left engine suddenly ignited. Intense, rising, a burst of fire flashing out of the nacelle. Flames licked across the wing, and streaks of smoke began trailing behind the aircraft. Those seated near the windows gasped, some screaming, others frozen in disbelief as orange flames began shooting out. In the cabin, the smell of burning oil faintly drifted in. The aircraft jolted violently as the engine began to fail. Overhead, bins rattled, and several passengers instinctively grabbed the armrests. Within seconds, the oxygen masks deployed with a loud snap, dangling in front of shocked passengers. Children cried, adults trembled, and flight attendants immediately launched into emergency mode, giving rapid instructions, calming panicked travelers, and securing the cabin. Inside the cockpit, alarms blared. The captain and first officer moved with precise coordination. Engine fire checklist engaged. Fuel cut off to the damaged engine. Pulled fire extinguishing system activated. Mayday call declared. Mayday, mayday, mayday. American Airlines flight requesting immediate return left engine fire. We are shutting down the engine. Despite the terror unfolding behind them, their voices remained steady. With the burning engine now shut off, but still smoldering, the aircraft began a controlled descent toward the nearest airport. Firefighters raced into position, emergency vehicles lined the runway, and the passengers braced for a landing they would never forget. At 10:31 a.m., after one of the most intense 14 minutes of their lives, the Boeing 737 touched down. The landing gear slammed onto the runway, the brakes screamed, and fire crews sped toward the aircraft even as it rolled to a stop. Fire trucks surrounded the plane within seconds, blasting the engine with foam. The orange flames slowly died, replaced by plumes of white vapor. Inside the cabin, a wave of relief swept through the passengers, many crying, many hugging, many praying. The captain ordered an evacuation as a precaution. Passengers slid down the emergency slides, some still in shock, others weeping with gratitude to be alive. Investigators later determined that a catastrophic engine failure had caused the fire. An internal component fractured during climb-out, triggering a chain reaction that nearly ended in disaster. Thanks to the pilot's calm and flawless decision-making, the cabin crew's swift response, and the immediate action of emergency units, every single person on board survived. What began as a routine flight became a story of terror, courage, and remarkable professionalism. An incident that passengers and crew would remember for the rest of their lives. Miracle landing, amid catastrophic failure, will forever be remembered as one of the most extraordinary demonstrations of aviation skill and survival. What began as a routine American Airlines Boeing 737 flight transformed, within seconds, into a terrifying trial of fire, fear, and sheer human resilience. Yet despite a catastrophic engine failure that set the aircraft ablaze mid-air, every soul on board survived, turning a near-fatal disaster into a miraculous landing that stunned the aviation world. The miracle began the moment the left engine experienced a violent internal failure. A component deep within the engine's core fractured at high speed, triggering an explosive chain reaction. In an instant, a fireball erupted, flames tore across the engine housing, and glowing shards of metal were hurled into the rushing slipstream. Passengers seated near the wing saw a blinding flash of orange before thick black smoke trailed behind the aircraft, like a dark comet streaking across the sky. Inside the cabin, panic spread rapidly. The violent shudder caused by the failing engine rattled overhead bins and shook the aircraft's frame. Some passengers screamed, others froze in disbelief, and many instinctively reached for loved ones beside them. Flight attendants were suddenly thrust into crisis mode, voices shaking yet steady, urging everyone to fasten seatbelts, remain low, and use oxygen masks as the cabin filled with alarm tones. Their ability to project calm despite the chaos became one of the defining moments of the incident. Meanwhile, in the cockpit, the true miracle began to take shape. The captain and first officer faced a storm of blaring warnings and flashing lights, yet their training, discipline, and instinct took over with machine-like precision. They identified the engine fire, shut down the failing system, cut the fuel supply, and deployed the aircraft's fire suppression mechanism. Even as the engine continued to burn, they initiated emergency descent procedures and immediately declared a mayday. Their voices remained steady, unshakable anchors in a moment of pure uncertainty. What made the situation particularly terrifying was the aircraft's altitude. Engine failures are dangerous at any height, but occurring during climb-out, when the engines are under immense stress and the plane is not yet fully configured for cruise, dramatically increases the risk. The aircraft was heavy, loaded with fuel, and only minutes into the flight. Losing one engine at this point could have resulted in a catastrophic loss of control, but the pilot's quick actions prevented the aircraft from rolling, stalling, or losing too much altitude. For the passengers, each second felt like an eternity. The cabin lights flickered. The aircraft vibrated as the remaining engines strained to power the flight alone. Some passengers silently prayed. Others sobbed uncontrollably. Parents held their children close, whispering reassurances they could barely believe themselves. Many later described the flight as the longest 15 minutes of their lives, time stretching under the weight of pure fear. While the situation in the air unfolded, the ground response mobilized at lightning speed. Airport emergency teams assembled, fire trucks lined the runway, medical crews prepared for mass casualty response, and air traffic controllers cleared all surrounding airspace to give the damaged aircraft priority. Every second mattered, and every person involved worked with a sense of urgency that would ultimately help save lives. As the Boeing 737 approached the runway, passengers braced for impact. The aircraft descended faster than normal, the flaps extended fully, and the landing gear locked into place with a heavy clunk that echoed through the fuselage. The captain guided the airplane toward the runway with the precision of a surgeon. Despite the imbalance caused by the dead engine, the aircraft touched down firmly, an authoritative landing that brought immediate relief, followed by tears from nearly everyone inside. The moment the wheels met the runway, fire crews rushed toward the aircraft. Flames still flickered along the damaged engine cowling, but firefighters blasted it with foam, extinguishing the last remnants of the inferno. Within seconds, passengers burst into applause. Some in celebration, others as an emotional release after surviving what they were certain would be their final moments. Evacuation began swiftly. Slides deployed, passengers scrambled out, some limping, others shaking, some still crying from shock. But every person made it out alive, every crew member survived. And the aircraft, though badly burned and scarred, had delivered its passengers safely back to solid ground. The investigation that followed revealed just how lucky the flight had been. The engine failure was severe enough that under slightly different conditions, higher altitude, more severe structural damage, or slower crew response, the outcome could have been devastating. But because every action, from the pilot's split-second decisions to the cabin crew's steady control, was executed flawlessly, the disaster was contained. The story of this miraculous landing is more than a tale of technical skill or emergency procedure. It is a testament to human resolve under pressure, to the bravery of aviation professionals, and to the extraordinary teamwork that transforms catastrophe into survival. Despite facing the worst kind of in-flight emergency, a raging engine fire, the passengers and crew walked away with their lives, forever grateful for the miracle they experienced in the sky.